The Smashing Machine is based on Mark Kerr. What to know about his story. The new A24 drama, The Smashing Machine, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, represents more than another sports biopic. It delivers a raw and emotional retelling of one of the most fascinating lives in early mixed martial arts history. The Smashing Machine's true story follows Mark Kerr, a two-time UFC heavyweight tournament champion. His strength and dominance inside the cage were matched only by his private struggles with addiction and the weight of sudden fame. Johnson's portrayal marks a dramatic shift in his acting career. He moves away from larger-than-life action heroes to deliver a more vulnerable and grounded performance. According to reports from Harper's Bazaar, the movie dives into Kerr's rise during the wild early years of MMA. The sport had few rules, limited oversight, and extreme brutality during this era. The Smashing Machine explores not just how Kerr fought his opponents, but how he fought himself. The film premiered to critical acclaim at both the Venice Film Festival and Toronto International Film Festival. For fans interested in A24's growing impact on Black filmmakers and dramatic storytelling, The Smashing Machine joins a collection of emotionally complex athlete biopics that prioritize emotional depth over spectacle. Is The Smashing Machine based on a real story? The Smashing Machine draws inspiration entirely from Mark Kerr's real life. His story was previously chronicled in the acclaimed 2002 HBO documentary of the same name. That documentary offered an unfiltered look into the formative days of MMA, capturing Kerr's physical and emotional unraveling as he struggled with painkiller addiction during the height of his career. A24's version takes a different approach. Director Benny Safdie, in his first solo directorial effort, draws from that documentary while expanding on Kerr's inner world. Safdie worked closely with both Johnson and Kerr himself to capture the violence of the ring and the pain behind the fighter's stoic public image. Johnson has publicly stated he was drawn to this story because of its unflinching honesty, describing the project as a reminder that strength isn't always about how hard you hit, but how you respond when life hits back. The actor gained about 30 pounds and trained in an intensive MMA camp to physically embody Kerr's physique. The Smashing Machine focuses specifically on the period between 1997 and 2000. Why is Mark Kerr called the Smashing Machine? Kerr earned his fearsome nickname because of his calculated and powerful fighting style. In his prime, he demolished competition with an unstoppable wrestling base combined with explosive ground-and-pound attacks that left opponents brutalized and overwhelmed. His dominance in early UFC tournaments and Japan's Pride Fighting Championships made him one of the most feared fighters in the world during the late 1990s. Fellow fighters and commentators gave him the moniker the Smashing Machine as they struggled to adequately describe his level of destruction inside the octagon. He functioned as a human wrecking ball, systematically breaking down opponents with technical precision and relentless aggression. His wrestling background from Syracuse University, where he was an NCAA champion, provided the foundation for his devastating takedowns and control. The nickname also became symbolic of his internal conflict. Outside the ring, Kerr was known for his intelligence, thoughtfulness, and quiet demeanor. Yet the same controlled aggression that made him a champion also contributed to the personal demons that nearly destroyed his life. This contrast between his public persona and private struggles forms the emotional core of Safdie's film. Johnson captures both the physical dominance and underlying vulnerability that defined Kerr's career. How did they get Dwayne Johnson to look like Mark Kerr? Transforming Dwayne Johnson into Mark Kerr required months of intense preparation and a level of physical commitment unlike anything in Johnson's previous work. The production team wanted to strip away the Hollywood polish and reveal the raw, gritty reality of both the sport and its most complex star. Johnson underwent an exhaustive transformation process beginning with a month-long MMA training camp in April 2024, shortly after completing preparation for WrestleMania 40. Daily training included cardio sessions on an empty stomach, weightlifting, and 60 to 90 minutes of cage work with real MMA coaches and fighters. According to ESPN, Johnson gained about 30 pounds to match Kerr's frame during his peak fighting years, focusing on developing the fast-twitch muscle fibers typical of elite wrestlers. Safdie revealed that the production employed Academy Award winner Kazuhiro, who created 21 individual prosthetic pieces that Johnson wore during filming. The makeup process required 3 to 4 hours daily. The team combined this with specific camera filters that mimicked early 2000s fight footage and deliberate lighting techniques, creating a remarkably authentic portrayal that has left audiences struggling to recognize the typically larger-than-life star. Johnson also worked extensively with a voice coach to soften his naturally commanding presence and adopt Kerr's quieter, more tender speaking voice. Safdie emphasized that Johnson approached the role with complete humility, refusing to play The Rock as Mark Kerr and instead committing to becoming the character entirely. Why did Mark Kerr stop fighting? The Smashing Machine reveals that Kerr's exit from professional fighting wasn't a single moment, but the culmination of years of physical punishment, emotional exhaustion, and the devastating toll of addiction. During the late 1990s and early 2000s, MMA fighters had extremely limited access to medical care and virtually no understanding of long-term brain trauma or joint damage. The sport was still fighting for legitimacy and had been banned in multiple states due to its perceived brutality. To manage constant injuries and the physical demands of fighting on short turnarounds, Kerr relied heavily on painkillers and other substances. What began as pain management quickly spiraled into dependency that consumed his personal life. The 2002 HBO documentary captured his real-time battle with addiction and included footage of his deteriorating relationship with then-girlfriend Dawn Staples, whom he later married in 2000 before their eventual separation in 2015. The pressure Kerr felt to maintain his undefeated status began affecting his performance. Rule changes in Pride eliminated some of his most effective techniques like headbutts and certain knee strikes. After losing by decision to Kazuyuki Fujita in the 2000 Pride finals, his career entered a steep decline. Subsequent losses to Igor Vovchanchin and Heath Herring made it clear that his body could no longer sustain the punishment required to compete at the highest level. By the mid-2000s, Kerr's once dominant career had faded entirely. His final professional record stood at 15 wins and 11 losses across 27 fights, with his last victory coming in 2007. Yet even as his athletic career ended, the real fight for his life was just beginning. The Smashing Machine captures these final competitive years, showing that the true battle was never just about opponents in the cage, but about the demons waiting outside of it. Where's the real-life Smashing Machine now? Following retirement, Kerr spent years in personal rehabilitation, attending recovery programs, and working to rebuild damaged relationships with family and friends. In 2008, he obtained an Arizona real estate license and later worked as a car salesman at various dealerships while continuing his journey toward sobriety. Time reports that Kerr has been sober for 7 years, crediting this milestone to his son Bryce asking him a simple but devastating question. Dad, do you think you can stop drinking? In June 2025, Kerr received recognition for his pioneering contributions when he was inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame as part of the Pioneer Era Wing, which honors fighters who turned professional before November 2000. Dwayne Johnson presented Kerr with his commemorative trophy during the ceremony, bringing the Smashing Machine full circle.